This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Get ready. Beginning tomorrow, more cars will return to a long-restricted part of San Francisco's Market Street. Waymos and certain ride shares will be able to pick up and drop off passengers at designated locations. Bike and transit advocates are pushing back, but Mayor Daniel Lurie calls Market Street the key to the city's recovery and is part of his plan to bring more people back downtown. The area has yet to bounce back from COVID. And the San Francisco Center is a prime example of the struggle. The mall on 5th and Market that was once home to Bloomingdale's and Nordstrom's lost nearly $1 billion in value in recent years after a number of its tenants left. So the center was supposed to be put up on the auction block last week, but the sale was once again delayed. Inside, it's nearly a ghost town. Our Kenny Choi introduces us to one of the few remaining businesses still holding strong.
The sound coming from Sam Argueda's shoe repair shop echoes in a vastly empty, quiet space. The Shoe Whiz is one of the last remaining stores at the San Francisco Center Mall.
I'm supposed to be closed by now, but I'm just hanging here to see what happened.
The 66-year-old took over the business about a decade ago when it was thriving. His team of 4 cobblers would mend and repair countless boots, heels, and dress shoes. Today, he works by himself.
Just, making little money to stay afloat. That's it. That's nothing else, man.
As stores continue to shutter throughout the mall one by one, the number of customers also drops.
Every year, every day is going down. Yeah.
How to reinvent and transform the massive 1.5 million square feet of mall space is up in the air. Design teams and business leaders have floated ideas for years, including building a soccer stadium at the site. Billy Riggs is a professor at USF School of Management who has given presentations about urban planning and downtown regeneration in retail.
We've seen a trend in retail, and companies are a little flat-footed right now. And I think it's an opportunity. It's really an opportunity for cities to innovate.
Riggs believes interactive pop-up shops, AI-driven retail, and mixed-use urban hubs with residential, co-working, and market spaces are some strategies that have potential to change the downtown landscape.
Rather than actually wait for something to happen, just allow people to move in and start activating the space. Create rules and allow the community to begin using it.
Multiple companies are managing the pending sale, which has been pushed back numerous times. Inside Shoe Whiz, time slowly ticks away. Argueda holds on to the hope that a change in ownership will lead to some financial help.
Maybe they can help us to move out and open another place in San Francisco. That's the idea.
He understands the end of the road is near. He just doesn't know where to go from here.
The auction is now scheduled for September 4th. Meantime, a new affordable housing complex is coming to San Francisco after years of delays and setbacks. Construction officially kicked off today. So the development is on DeHaro Street, right off of 16th and Potrero Hill. There are plans for more than 400 affordable housing units, as well as 6,000 square feet of commercial space. The project originally called for market rate homes, but that stalled out as construction costs rapidly increased and rent prices stagnated. The developer decided to change course and take advantage of a new state law that promised to fast-track affordable housing. The development company's CEO said the housing environment in San Francisco is changing, but there are still challenges.
First, we had COVID that scared away a lot of institutional investors, and they simply redlined San Francisco and Investment Committee. That's changing now. The narrative around the city is changing now.
It took 6 years for construction to get going on the housing complex. If all goes to plan, it will be completed in the summer of 2027. Well, it's almost $100 billion over budget, and it could be 13 years before the Bay Area actually sees high-speed rail service. But today, some Democratic state lawmakers, they doubled down on keeping the controversial project going. They're also hoping now for private investors. So the goal is to eventually have bullet trains run from the Bay Area to LA, then later expand them to Sacramento in San Diego. About 120 miles of rail construction is underway in the Central Valley. But with President Trump threatening to pull federal funding, the authority needs more cash. But Republicans tell Tori Apodaca the project has been a waste.
California's high-speed rail on track for the future or off the rails.
The only thing high speed about the high-speed rail is the high speed of which they're wasting our tax dollars.
California Senate Republicans and President Trump, who recently announced he's pulling $4 billion of federal funding from the project, are not on board.
Funding, long-term funding commitment, is what we are asking for.
But the CEO of the California High-Speed Rail Authority joined state Democratic leaders Monday, saying the project isn't coming to a halt. It just needs some help. California voters approved the high-speed rail project to connect LA to San Francisco in 2008, proposed then to cost $33 billion and be completed by 2020. That never happened. Democratic Senator Dave Cortese says it failed because they weren't looking at private sector money. How much of taxpayer dollars, though, have gone into this project and would need to go in to have its completion?
Yeah, there's most certainly billions of dollars that have already been invested in the project, and the project now has in excess of $100 billion budget.
The train tracks would stretch for about 400 miles, connecting Merced to Bakersfield by 2032 and Gilroy to Palmdale by 2038.
This is an economic development project with a rail line in the middle of it.
Cortese says the train will bring more to California than just connection, but economic development along the tracks, like housing. He hopes train riders and the development projects will eventually pay for itself. But Republicans aren't convinced California will ever see a return on the investment.
If you had your money, would you invest in a project that said it was going to be $33 billion and now it's over $100 billion?
A cleaner way of connecting Californians by transit. Is the cost worth it?
State Republican leaders want to put the issue ahead of voters again. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., a congressional committee is investigating whether the rail authority knowingly misrepresented the cost of the project to get more federal funding. But despite all the setbacks, the bullet train still has public support. According to a recent Politico poll, 62% of the people surveyed said the project should continue, while 38% said it is time to wrap it up. All right, we just got a new update right now on the Picket Fire in Napa County. The latest estimate from CAL FIRE has slightly downgraded the area's scorched to nearly 6,600 acres, just over 10 square miles, and they've boosted containment to 15%. CAL FIRE says 615 homes and buildings are threatened.
It has moved closer to us, to a couple of communities, the community of Angwin and Berryessa Estates are not that far from the edge of the fire. The fire has not gotten to those places, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the fire doesn't get to those.
CAL FIRE says the steep terrain is causing problems for firefighters. They've had to fly crews in by helicopter, and some places are so remote they can't get their bulldozers in, so all the lines have to be cut by hand. The Bay Area Air Quality District has extended its advisory for Napa, Sonoma, and Solano counties through Wednesday because of the smoke. They recommend people stay inside until the smoke levels go down. Investigators have now found a second body in the charred debris of a San Rafael apartment complex fire. The remains of an adult victim were found yesterday in a heavily damaged area in the interior of the building on Canal Street. Another adult victim was found in the back of the building Friday. The coroner has not yet identified them, but police believe they are the two people who went missing in Thursday's fire. Investigators are calling the fire suspicious and have not ruled out arson as a cause.
When firefighters arrived, this building was essentially burning from the first floor to the top floor, from side to side and front to back. That is very unusual.
While police are still investigating the cause, they say they're working to preserve as much evidence as possible in case this turns into a criminal investigation. Santa Clara County prosecutors have dropped the local charges against Richard Tillman, who's accused of crashing into a South San Jose post office and setting it on fire last month. The DA's office requested the dismissal because Tillman is facing federal prosecution for the same crime. Tillman is the brother of former NFL player and Army Ranger Pat Tillman, who died from friendly fire in Afghanistan in 2004. A day of action in Richmond today. It was led by the National Parks Conservation Association. They're demanding protection of our national parks system. So the event was held at the Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historical Park. Community members and leaders highlighting the importance of the East Bay's national parks and the stories they represent.
This park stands in sharp contrast to the oversimplified and whitewashed version of U.S. history that the current administration is demanding from the Park Service. Here in Richmond, the stories of many communities are illuminated.
The event also celebrated the National Park Service's 109th birthday. All right, still ahead, a weekend sideshow in Oakland. It ends with a car being set on fire, and neighbors want police to do more to stop it. And this may be a first on the Bay Bridge. Look at this, a look at this daring sky surfing stunt. Are you kidding me? And it was successfully pulled off, and it was not Paul Hagen.
Absolutely not. Today, almost an aggressively normal August day. Inland temperatures in the 80s, everybody within 3 or 4 degrees of average. That's going to be the case for the next few days, but there is a warm up in store for the unofficial end of summer, Labor Day weekend. I've got details coming up in the First Alert forecast.
Oakland police are investigating a weekend sideshow that left a car torched right in the middle of the road. So this is video, clearly, from one of 2 sideshows that happened early Sunday morning. Police say that when they arrived on the scene, drivers and spectators moved to a different location. But before leaving, they set a car on fire. Police suspect the car was stolen and was destroyed after it broke down. OPD issued 21 citations and towed 4 cars between Sunday's 2 sideshows. Neighbors say that they aren't doing enough to curb the activity.
Poor excuse. Poor excuse. Get in there and do something.
OPD doesn't really respond to things, and they like to get a lot of overtime pay, so they usually draw things out and don't react to things.
So OPD says that they are partnering with the city, community groups, and other law enforcement agencies to come up with solutions to address sideshows. All right, on to another stunt. This one, crazy, I think, has a lot of people talking. This one is not for the faint of heart either. It involved a sky surfer riding the cables of the Bay Bridge. Take a look. Oh my goodness, I'd like to interview his mother. Okay, daredevil Sean McCormick drove and dove. Actually, he didn't drive, he dove 5,000 feet out of a helicopter with a sky surfboard. He ended up grinding the suspension cables of the bridge before coasting down to a landing pad on the water. Yesterday morning's stunt was put on by, do we have to say this? We have to give the commercial name?
I think it's on the parachute there, so yeah.
Red Bull, okay. It was approved by the Highway Patrol, there you go, and all other involved authorities. Traffic was briefly stopped. Actually, Paul Hagen has a comment about that. Was briefly stopped during the stunt.
I'm sure everyone driving over the Bay Bridge during that absolutely thrilled. They stopped traffic.
What is briefly delayed? Like 2 hours? Who knows? Anyway.
I didn't try to cross the Bay Bridge yesterday, so I have no idea.
You didn't. You just shook your head from your couch.
No, just.
Or wherever.
Don't do that.
Also, I want to interview his mother. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Well,
and your mother.
We got some things to talk about. Ooh.
Okay.
You may hear more than you want to. Let's take a look at what things have looked like from space over the past several hours. The satellite perspective shows a lot of clouds bubbling up over the mountains of Northern California and the Sierra. Monsoonal moisture leading to showers and thunderstorms and potential for some new fires to get started, especially in Southern California, where a lot of the thunderstorms have been dry. While around the Bay Area, well, there is our marine layer cloud cover and spreading across the bay already. This scale is a little bit too wide to see the smoke coming off of the Picket Fire, but it's still something that we have to track as we head through the next several days. The location of the fire still burning there in northern Napa County to just the east of Calistoga. In terms of where the smoke generated by that fire is going to go, most of it blowing up to our north and away from the bulk of the Bay Area. Still an air quality advisory in effect for the North Bay, Sonoma, Napa, and Solano counties. but the majority of that surface level smoke is going to be blown away from us. And as the fire crews continue to boost the containment lines and reduce the amount of vegetation that fire can actually burn, well, then it's going to be less of a concern as we head through the next several days. But we're a little ways away from that for right now. Let's take a look outside from the Mark Hopkins Hotel and seeing that low cloud cover and fog beginning to swallow up more of San Francisco. Temperatures 60s and 70s across the entire area. 62 degrees in San Francisco is the cool spot. 78 degrees in Concord is the least cool spot. But for an August evening, this is not bad at all. We are going to see temperatures ending up in the 50s and low 60s by tomorrow morning. Everybody starting off within 2 or 3 degrees of normal as the fog continues to spread out well into the inland valleys of the North Bay, even a little bit of it sneaking into the interior valleys of the East Bay, and plenty of fog in the Santa Clara Valley as well. Once the sun comes up, that inland fog dissipates quickly, pulls back to around the bay by mid-morning, then all the way back to the coast by lunchtime. At the coast, I don't think you're going to see much sunshine yet tomorrow, but you are going to see more of that by later this week. In terms of temperatures, they're going to be almost exactly normal for this time of year. Let's check out those high temperatures for Tuesday, reaching up into the 80s in the Santa Clara Valley, 2 degrees above average in San Jose, 84 degrees there, 89 for Morgan Hill and Los Gatos, close to 90. But those are going to be the hot spots across the entire region, even around Livermore, Antioch, and Brentwood, Fairfield, getting up into the mid to upper 80s. It's actually a couple degrees below normal for Concord at 84 degrees. 70s and 80s around the bay with temperatures at the coast, mostly in the 60s. And then it's a mix of 70s and 80s for the North Bay, 84 degrees in Healdsburg. That is not very hot at all by August standards. And the onshore breeze is going to have a lot to do with that. Winds are going to be noticeable, but not nearly strong enough for a wind advisory Tuesday and Wednesday. Strongest gusts in the afternoons are going to be in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range, but not for too long. So this is just kind of a normal pattern for late summer around the Bay Area, keeping temperatures close to where they're supposed to be for the next several days. As we look at the 10-day outlook, well, a couple of days stand out in Livermore, reaching up into the mid-90s for the first 2 days of Labor Day weekend. That's still only about 7 degrees above normal, so far from record setting. And then we're right back to a typical weather pattern as we head into early September. Hard to believe that we're talking about early September already. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, and we'll start inland, where most inland communities are going to reach up into the 90s for the first part of Labor Day weekend, and then is back into the 80s for Labor Day itself a week from today. Temperatures around the bay will also warm up for the first 2/3 of the holiday weekend, but only into the mid to upper 70s for a couple of days, and then you snap back down to the low 70s on Monday with plenty of sunshine around the bay. The fog is going to be less of a factor after tomorrow, but there'll still be some of it because we still have that onshore influence. But even a little bit of sunshine peeking through at the coast from Wednesday through the end of the work week and for much of Labor Day weekend. But I think the foggy weather might return for the first day of September, which is supposed to be when summertime actually kicks in around the Bay Area. Always something to keep an eye on.
A dust storm swept through the Black Rock Desert at Burning Man Saturday, flipping over tents and leaving at least 4 people with minor injuries. There's also a chance of thunderstorms and hail in the next few days. It is supposed to get better Thursday, giving burners a few days of relief to enjoy the rest of the festival. Thanks so much for watching. The news continues at 8 on Pix Plus or 44 Cable 12. See you right back here at 11 o'clock. Have a great evening.